Hey guys, welcome to KociStudios.com. Today I'm going to answer the number one question I get all of the time. In fact, it's probably the question I like to ask other videographers and photographers so I can see why it's the number one question. What's in your bag? And I think it's important to talk about equipment sometimes. I think it's a great foundation. While equipment isn't the most important thing, of course we know storytelling and techniques and how you use the equipment and how you think is the most important thing. But in all of my years, I can tell you that every now and then, a little piece of equipment, knowing what someone else uses and why they use it, has come in handy and has actually made me a better shooter. So I'm just gonna start. This will probably be a series of posts. There's a lot of stuff here. Do you need all of this stuff? Absolutely not. Can you get away? You want to be a great videographer and you have a DSLR, you have a lens, and you need a microphone? Yes, you can get away with just these things. And I can teach you how to shoot decent video with these things, right? But if you want to shoot bigger, larger productions, you want to start getting serious, there's some other choices you're going to have to make in terms of gear. So I've spent 20 years in the business. I know a lot about gear. I've amassed a lot of stuff, and I actually buy some of it to test it out so that I can give that information back to students and people who I do workshops for and people like you who are sitting out there that want to know these things. So I'm not going to go through every piece of gear right now. There will be links at the bottom of this post so you can go right to it. But what I want to do in this video and subsequent videos is focus on little parts of equipment and tell you why I use them and then move on from section to section. So today I just want to talk about the bodies I use, the two camera bodies I use, and the lenses and my choice of lenses and why. So the first, my body is a Canon 5D Mark III. And my second body, believe it or not, is not another DSLR, but it's a Sony NX30. And this little Sony NX30 has a really unique and one-of-a-kind image stabilization system. And I don't only like it for that. The other reason I like it is that sometimes this DSLR stuff can be overwhelming when you're running and gunning, as we call it, or the bride decides she wants to run across a field and go give her, newly betrothed a kiss. And sometimes you're not fast enough, or sometimes something happens on a documentary shoot and your subject jumps out of a car and starts running down the street. Sometimes what I like to do is just go to the good old standby, open this up and press record and start running, getting great sound, great image stabilization, and I know I'm gonna have a picture that's sharp. So that's why I use and have as my second body always with me, a little kind of crash cam, if you will, a little camera, a video camera that is kind of almost put on auto, and I'm sure I'm gonna get something. So those are my bodies, Canon 5D Mark III, Sony NX30. Let's talk about lenses. That's what I wanna focus the rest of this video on, are my choices of lenses. Now, a lot of times people come back with their very expensive body and their not so expensive lens, and they say, why don't my videos look like this person's or that person's? And one of the reasons is it's a lot less about the body and it's a lot more about the lens. I would always advise spending more on the lens than you do on the body. Bodies change all the time. Lenses don't. In fact, I'm being filmed by a lens that I've had for almost 20 years, right? The body's new, but the lens is the same. So it's a great investment. So the lens I use that I have on my Canon right now, on my 5D Mark III, is a 51.2. Now, it's very critical that you buy the lowest aperture, usually about a 1.2 or a 1.4, even a 1.8. You want to keep it 2 or under if you can, f2 and under. And again, if you don't understand what that means, we'll eventually get there. But you want to have fast lenses. So I have a 51.2. I have a 24-1.4. Again, under that 2 mark. The other reason you want a wide angle lens like a 24 is you're able to hand hold this at 24 and get a lot less shaky movement if you have to handhold. Now, I prefer that we have monopods and tripods when we're working, and I'll show you my favorite monopod and tripod. So a 24-1.4, a 50-1.2, and then my all-around go-to lens is the Canon 24-105. It's got image stabilization, and it's got a range that works for me from 24 to 105. But this lens is not faster than a 2.0. So generally when I move inside, I start moving to these two lenses, and when I'm outside, I usually stick with this. And the last piece of equipment here is this little neutral density filter. And since this is the lens I use outside, I always have a neutral density filter on here. It allows me to keep that shallow depth of field outside. Again, all the links for these at the bottom. So those are my lenses, that's my body, and the last thing I want to talk about is a tripod, right? This is a little Giotto, I think that's how you say it, but it's a tripod that I found. It's ridiculously small, it's very sturdy, you can travel with it, it can hold the weight of both of these cameras, and it's an absolute must-have. I looked for years for a small travel tripod that I can put in a backpack that I could put in my carry-on. So this link will be down at the bottom. And the final thing is a monopod. Now, this is probably one of my favorite monopods. Again, small, light, fit in my bag. This is an Enduro CM25, but I also have another one. When I don't need to travel and I need to do a little serious work, I use a Manfrotto with a video head. You can see it's a little bit more stable. It's got these great feet down here at the bottom that allow a little bit more stabilization. So again, really quick run through. This series of posts is just about kind of showing you and a little bit behind the scenes of why I'm choosing the equipment. And we'll go to sound, we'll go to all these different things, bags and everything I have, and ultimately you'll find everything that I use. I hope this has been helpful. I know that when I ask other photographers what's in their bag, I always find one or two things that help me be a better photographer, videographer. And if you find any of this useful, don't forget to share this with your friends in your wider network. And I'm excited to come back with more videos and more trainings and more workshops to not just say, hey, this is the lens I use, but this is how you use it. Hey, not this is just about a monopod, but hey, guess what? If you hold the monopod this way and you open your legs and you stand like this and you lean back and forth, you can make it look like you're on a $10,000 slider with a $100 monopod. It's things like that that I'm excited to get to. We'll get there, but I want to start at the beginning with the basics, and I kind of want to start it with gear to kind of get that out of the way. So I hope you enjoy. Take care, and I'll see you soon.